Now let us consider uh, some details regarding conservation of angular momentum. Now in the unit Newton's laws of motion, um, you have studied conservation of linear momentum. So the idea of conservation of linear momentum is if you have an isolated system. Okay, when we say an isolated system, it means that no isolated system means no external torque, sorry, external force, no external force or torque acting on the system. That's called an isolated system. So conservation of linear momentum, the idea is that if you have an isolated system, okay, it means that no external force is acting on the system, then all the forces acting on the system are internal forces. Then it can be argued that from Newton's laws, we can argue that the internal forces will always cancel each other. Okay, they are always equal and opposite, and the net force will always be zero. Okay, so for an isolated system, then total internal force is zero, and total external force is already zero because it is an isolated system. So in that context, we can say that since according to the second law, force is equal to total force, internal plus external, is equal to rate of change of linear momentum. Okay, um, if it is isolated, this force involves only internal forces. But since all the internal forces, the net internal forces, total internal forces acting on a system cancel each other, pairwise cancel each other, um, this part is also zero, this force is also zero. Okay, so we can say here internal in this context. So then what happens is the rate of change of linear momentum is zero. Okay, so this quantity will be equal to zero. Then rate of change of angular momentum is zero, linear momentum is zero, so therefore linear momentum is constant. This is conservation of linear momentum. Now we can ask the question, can we say that conservation of angular momentum can be similarly obtained from Newton's laws? Again, let's come to isolated system. So as far as rotational, so that means there is no external force as well as no external torque. So let us look at the rotational motion of the system. So there is no external torque acting on the system. Okay, then let us look at what is the internal torque. Say let's assume that it's a rigid body composed of n particles, and let us look at the force on the jth particle. Okay, now this force must be internal force because it's an isolated system. No external torque is acting on this. So force on the jth particle must be due to all the other, if there are all the other particles in the system. Okay, so summation over, let's say, k f jk, let's say, where jk is the force on the jth particle by the kth particle. Okay, the summation of our k runs from 1 to n if there are n particles. Now actually here if there are n particles, so we need to consider, when you calculate the force on the jth particle, we need to consider the force exerted by all the other n minus 1 particles. Okay, so that means in this summation we should avoid k equal to j, because a force on a particle by itself is 0. Okay, so fjj we don't have to consider. So even though this summation runs from 1 to n, one particle is exempted, that is jth particle itself. Okay, so what we are calculating is force on the jth particle, the internal force on the jth particle due to all the other um, n minus 1 particles. Okay, so maybe we can draw a diagram here. This is our coordinate system, some origin. Let's say this is the jth particle of mass mj. Its position vector is rj. Then we have a kth particle here, mass mk, with a position vector rk. Okay. Now we calculate. So let's choose this origin and calculate the torque on the jth particle. So torque on the jth particle is rj cross fj. Okay, where rj is this position vector about the origin. So this is equal to rj cross summation over, instead of k fj we substitute summation over k fjk, with the understanding that k is not equal to j. So let us rewrite this. This is equal to summation over k rj cross fjk. We can take this rj inside because it is independent of summation. Now let us say that this rj cross fj, let us say it is tau jk. Okay, the torque on the jth particle due to kth particle, and we sum over all k particles. Okay. Now similarly, so this tau jk is rj cross fjk. Okay. Now similarly, let us argue. Now let us take the torque in pairs. Let us argue that the torque on the kth particle due to jth particle is rk cross fkj. Correct. The first equation is torque on the jth particle due to the kth particle is rj cross fjk. Then torque on the kth particle due to the jth particle will be rk cross fkj, right? In the figure, rk is the position vector of the kth particle. Okay, so torque on the kth particle about this origin will be rk cross fkj. Where force fkj is, we are calculating the torque on the kth particle due to the jth particle. Okay, so it is this. We are going to take pairwise torque, just like we argued in the case of linear momentum. We want to check whether pairwise, in linear momentum case, pairwise forces cancel each other, and that's how we conclude that net internal force will be zero on the body. In the same way, let us see whether pairwise torques on two particles will cancel each other. So let us take the sum. The total torque on these two particles is tau jk, that is torque on the jth particle due to the kth particle, plus torque on the kth particle to the jth particle is, we have rj cross fjk plus rk cross fkj. Now fjk is the force on the jth particle due to the kth particle, fkj is the force on the kth particle due to the jth particle. Now these two forces, according to Newton's second law, these two forces must be equal and opposite. So we can say that this fjk is equal to minus fkj, because they are internal forces. Okay, so they must be equal and opposite. So instead of fjk, let us substitute minus fkj. So this summation of summation of this two torques is equals. So we have a minus sign in the first term. So minus rj cross fkj plus rk cross fkj. So fkj is common, we can take it outside. So we have rk minus rj cross fkj. Let us look at this figure that we have drawn earlier. What is rk minus rj? This is rk, this is rj. So rk minus rj will be the vector from mj to mk, jth particle to kth particle. let us draw it here. This is RKJ. RKJ or RJK? RKJ. So RKJ is the vector drawn from jth particle to kth particle. Let us use that convention. Okay, so this is the we can use instead of RK minus RJ, let us use the symbol RKJ. RKJ cross FKJ. Okay, RKJ is the vector from kth particle, jth particle to kth particle, and FKJ is the force on the kth particle by the jth particle. Okay, so this is tau jk plus tau kj. These are internal torques, that in the sense that torque on one particle due to the other particle, jth particle due to kth particle, plus torque on kth particle due to jth particle. Now the question is, will these internal torques cancel each other? Just in the same way we say that here fjk plus fkj is 0. Internal forces cancel pairwise. In the same way, can we say that internal torques cancel pairwise? Now this fkj is non-zero, rkj is also non-zero. So the only way the right hand side is 0 is fkj must be acting along rkj. It must be parallel or anti-parallel to rkj. It must be acting along the line, along the vector rkj. Okay, so that's the only way. Now in general, fkj need not be along rkj. Okay, there is a situation, maybe we will draw it here. Okay, this is our jth particle, kth particle, rj. Now there can be a situation. This is the line joining j and k. This is rjk, right? No, or rkj. If we take the direction from j to k. Now there can be a situation. The force acting on jth particle due to the kth particle. Maybe this force is acting along this line. This is fjk. Okay. Similarly, the force exerted by the jth particle on the kth particle. Suppose this force is acting along this line. This is fkj. If this is the situation, okay, then it's clear that fjk is equal and opposite to fkj, right, according from Newton's third law. Therefore, if you come back to our equation here, this fkj and rkj are along the same line, and in this situation the torque will be 0 pairwise. Okay, but these forces acting along the same line are called central forces. Central forces. Okay, so if the internal forces or the force between two particles in a system, in a rigid body, are central forces, that means which are acting along the line joining the two particles, then it is clear that the total internal torques will be 0. Okay, only in this case. And when total internal torques is 0, this is we have considered any two particles. That means this is applicable for any two particles in the rigid body. So we can argue that in the entire rigid body, the total internal force will be 0. Already the external torque is 0 because it's an isolated body. Then we can argue that since torque is equal to rate of change of angular momentum. Okay, here we have only internal torques. If this internal torques is equal to 0, okay, then rate of change of angular momentum is equal to 0, which implies angular momentum is constant. Okay, now what we have seen is that this is 0 only for central forces. Only for central forces we can say that the total internal torques is 0 and angular momentum is constant. Okay. Um, but if in general the force between two particles can be non-central. For example, consider a situation like this. Okay, consider a situation like this. Particle mj is here. Okay, mk is here. Now this is the line joining mj and mk. Now let us say the force on jth particle due to kth particle, this force is acting along this direction, fjk. And the force on kth particle to the jth particle, this force is acting along opposite direction, fkj. See, the two forces are equal and opposite, and the net internal force will be 0. But this is the direction of r. According to our convention, this is rkj, right? From jth particle to kth particle. Now, if you look at the torque, okay, the torques will not cancel each other. That is, rj cross fjk will be, yeah, it will be rj cross fjk will be perpendicular and outward. Rk cross fkj will be perpendicular and inward, if we look at this. And the two torques will not cancel each other. Okay, and rj and rk need not be same. Even though fj and fjk and fkj are equal, magnitude wise equal, rj and rk need not be equal. So these two torques will not cancel each other. Okay, or in other words, rkj cross fkj, if we look at this equation, rkj cross fkj here. Okay, here in this case, rkj cross fkj is not 0. Okay, there is a non-zero value, perpendicular and inward also. So this is the case of non-central forces. So in general, the internal forces between two particles can be non-central. They need not be central. Only when they are central forces can we say that the torques between the internal torques will cancel each other. If they are non-central forces, there is no way to argue that the internal torques cancel each other. Okay, so the point is that from Newton's laws of motion, if the internal torques do not cancel each other, we cannot say that angular momentum is constant. So what is the argument here is, from Newton's laws of motion, we cannot deduce that internal torques necessarily cancel each other. In other words, from Newton's, when internal torques of an isolated system do not cancel each other or need not cancel each other, we cannot argue from Newton's laws that angular momentum is conserved. Okay, so theoretically we cannot deduce or derive the conservation of angular momentum from Newton's laws, because the force between two particles can be in general non-central. But what is the experimental situation? So our conclusion is this: we cannot deduce conservation of angular momentum of an isolated system from Newton's laws. So we cannot deduce from Newton's laws conservation of angular momentum of an isolated system. This is the crux of our argument. Okay, why? Because for an isolated system, the internal torques, only the angular momentum is conserved only if the internal torques cancel, necessarily becomes zero. Net total internal torque is zero. This is possible only when internal torques cancel pairwise. Okay. So this is possible. This in turn is possible. That is, internal torques can cancel pairwise only when the forces are central forces, as shown in this figure. In this case, it is possible. Okay. In this case, it is possible. Fkj is acting along Rkj. So internal torques can cancel each other. But in general, the force between two particles, they can be equal and opposite, and net force can be zero, but they can be non-central, these forces in general. They need not act along the line joining the particles. Therefore, in general, we cannot say that the internal forces are always central. That means in general, we cannot say that internal torques cancel each other. So there is no way to deduce, in a general context, there is no way to deduce, or in the case of non-central forces, there is no way to deduce conservation of angular momentum of an isolated system from Newton's laws. But what is the experimental situation? However, the experimental observation is that angular momentum of an isolated system is always conserved. This is our experimental observation. It's always conserved. So even though there is theoretically we cannot deduce conservation of angular momentum of an isolated system from Newton's laws, it's an experimental fact. We have never observed an isolated system whose angular momentum is not constant. For any isolated system, angular momentum is always conserved. So we accept conservation of angular momentum as an experimental fact. We cannot theoretically deduce it from Newton's laws. So in this case, we should understand that conservation of angular momentum is different from conservation of linear momentum, in the sense that both are fundamental conservation laws of nature, but conservation of linear momentum we can deduce from Newton's laws of motion. However, conservation of angular momentum we cannot deduce from Newton's laws of motion in the case of non-central forces. Okay, if the force between two particles are not acting along the line joining the particle, we cannot argue that internal torques necessarily cancel each other. But the experimental observation is that for an isolated system, angular momentum is always conserved. We don't know how to deduce it. That's all. So the idea is that this means that conservation of angular momentum is an independent physical law. Is an independent physical law, independent from Newton's laws. Okay, it's an independent physical law. Now it seems like it looks like that. Okay. So far we have no experimental evidence of violation of conservation of angular momentum. So this is the idea about conservation of angular momentum. So we accept it as an experimental fact that angular momentum of an isolated system is always conserved. Okay. The only point is that we cannot deduce it from Newton's laws, just like we could deduce conservation of linear momentum from Newton's law. Okay.